Howdy, 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 and welcome to episode 12 of the DirtInfo Podcast. This week, we'll break down Lucas Oil from All-Tech, recap the mods from Volusia, and also probably give some predictions for Big Gator Week. We'll then quickly touch on the Texas Showdown and Ernie Mincy Early Thaw. And then, as always, we'll send you home with one for the road. With that, Julian, where can they find us other than where they're watching us right now?
Yeah, so if you would like to follow the DirtInfo Podcast on social media, you can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, might be on Instagram too.
We are.
Josh, we're also
Yeah,
on
we're
Instagram.
on Instagram.
And then if you'd like to listen or watch us, you could have YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and also Apple Podcasts, which is our newest edition. So that's really fun.
Yeah. We've made ourselves really easy to find. If you want to follow us and support us, we're everywhere, and we appreciate all the support. So thank you very much. I'll also touch if you like what you're seeing, please share with someone. Honestly, we notice every week that one share goes a long way. So any little bit you can do to help spread the word, we'd much appreciate it. So we appreciate everyone watching. And with that, Lucas Oil from Alltech, huh? That was fun.
It didn't look like it was going to be very fun after like the first night, and then it ended up being just fun all 3 nights. I mean, I've never seen so many late models hit the wall, but the racing was crazy. The track was crazy. I mean, Jonathan Davenport said he loved it. He had a lot of fun, and I mean, he's not scared to just say he doesn't like a track. So I think
Yeah,
that's
he's
the
hard to
problem.
impress. Yeah. Yeah, we've heard what he says about not stuff. Yeah,
But
that Saturday's feature, I mean, all the features were bangers. Saturday's feature was, I think, definitely race of the year for sure
Oh
as of
yeah,
right now, at least, and it's going to be
absolutely.
hard to top. Yeah.
I mean, just the whole race in general. Like sometimes you get a good finish and the rest of the race is okay, but like that whole race was like insane. Like there was 4 or 5 different leaders. I mean,
Hmm.
there was so much stuff that happened in those 50 laps.
I went back and watched actually Flow Racing on YouTube. They posted it the race of the week, so you could actually, if you, for whatever reason, if you don't have Flow, you could actually go back and watch the whole
Oh,
feature.
nice.
But I just watched like the 8 minute highlights they did of it, and it was hilarious because James Essex just like started losing his mind and he couldn't keep up with everything going on because there's so many leaders at one point. And I think it was like when it was towards the end of the race, but like Davenport just came out of
Oh yeah,
nowhere,
on the
and then
bottom.
he's like Baha'd it into turn 1 and 2 on 4 wheels, and almost took the 4 wheels off the ground. And almost took the lead. Then early in the
Yeah.
race, Garrett Alberson, I mean, he took the lead early from Overton, and then
Hmm.
he went straight backwards. We were kind of chatting about this in Discord. I think Alberson probably had harder tires on or something. I mean, he kind of fired well, then he
Possibly.
fell off.
But then he
And
came
I
Come
think,
back towards
storming
the
back.
end. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
towards the end. He
yeah.
was back there then.
Yeah, finished
yeah,
fourth. Yeah.
well, he was looking really. He could have maybe won it if he didn't have that contact with RTJ. I think
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Alberson might have.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, everybody sustained some contact in that race. So, hard to say if that didn't happen. One thing I did notice too, like all the guys that the podium all went plus 10 or more.
I was
I
just
guess
gonna mention that.
yeah,
All started outside
yeah.
the top 10.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, I don't know where RTJ had started. He's obviously not. I didn't dig all the way down to the bottom to see where he started, but he kind of came forward a bit too, I thought, and he was anywhere from first to sixth on a given lap towards the end. So I mean, that was wild. I just yeah. I mean, if I had to say anything, we had to wait a long time sometimes to get that feature, but that feature was totally worth the wait. It's hard to argue with what you got. I mean, the track prep was it felt a little excessive, but it wasn't. For what you got, it wasn't. It was the perfect amount. So,
well, then
um,
Tim McCready, he was like out of nowhere at one point too, and he almost like he was up to second at one point. And I mean,
yeah.
that was the last Lucas race he won, I believe, in
Mhm.
Yeah,
All-Tech last year.
On the
yeah. He won a
you
prelim thing at Lernerville, but I think that was those split feature deals they got going on. So yeah, it was
yeah,
probably his actual full field win was All-Tech a year ago.
yeah. Yeah. Hey, McCready not only coming forward, but on the top. Like not his normal place of doing business. So,
And yeah, they did say that was like a vintage McCready up on top. I remember them saying that on the broadcast. But something else we touched on last week was Dalton Wilson, maybe running Ford of Outlaws, maybe running Lucas. I think he's going to run Lucas
yeah.
because he had two, what is it, second, third, second, and then I want to say he was like seventh or something, but he kind of
Six.
charged through sixth. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
But
Yep.
he had charged through the pack to get to that position. I think he was like back in like 15th or 16th at one point that I saw
Mm-hmm.
on the ticker. So Dalton Wilson's looking really good. Garrett Alberson's looking really good. And then Devin Moran gets his first All-Tech win, which was really interesting too because the Flow team, they put up a graphic about like the top 4 guys or something who had won at All-Tech or ran well at All-Tech, and Devin Moran was the only one that didn't have a win on it. And then he ends up winning the race. So you have him, RTJ, obviously.
Yeah.
Overton seems a little off outside of that qualifying effort.
Yeah.
Not sure what's going on there, but I mean,
Yeah.
Lucas is just absolutely full of killers, especially when you have Wilson and Alberson taking a step forward.
Yeah, I mean Alberson is totally worth a mention. Friday, thought he was running well, maybe got in an incident. He's not on what I've got written down, but um, top 10 the other 2 nights, and like you were mentioning, a contender again on Saturday. So he's like so clearly taking the jump. Wilson, I said he was a non-factor at Volusia. Maybe he was just testing. Just good gravy. That was not the case here. Same thing with RTJ. I said it may be blasphemous, but he was slow. He was. He was not slow here. So I mean, it's dogfight, and JD is very clearly in the middle of it. Um, I I don't know that I've seen him get that rough this early in the season. That was the one thing that I was like, it was Friday night and then it was Thursday night. I'm sorry, I had my days wrong, but it was a little rough on Thursday. RTJ roughed up Wilson. I think Wilson made a comment about it. He ended up finishing third, and he was like, "Well, if I hadn't eaten a couple of quarter panels along the way," um, and that was night one. Night two, it got even more turned up, and I mean, night three was bonkers. And it's gonna be those same 6, 7 players just night in, night out, just throwing bombs. I'm so
And
excited.
they Wilson said on Saturday, he's like, I tried to get him back for Thursday. And he's
Oh,
like, but I think I just made him mad. And then he drove off into the sunset. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I think that's something maybe the World of Outlaws is kind of missing, that kind of little bit of spice between the drivers where you've had the RTJ JD aspect. I don't think it's anything that's gotten like crazy like, but there's just a little bit of like little spiciness between the drivers there. It kind of
Mhm.
like, they rub doors sometimes and things like that, and
Yeah.
so it makes it fun. It's nothing over the line though, like you're just dumping guys into the fence. But
Yeah, nothing egregious. I would say hard racing on the maybe on the fence of maybe a tad bit reckless, but I wouldn't say anything egregious. It just occurred to me too, there's always been some complaining ever since they announced that sort of big River Steel, Big Four, that NASCAR tournamentification of the season. But we've got 6, 7, 8 guys fighting for 4 spots, and the winner of one of those guys is going to walk away with, I think it was like $250,000 or something. It's some astronomical amount of money now, and could be 7 of the 10 best late model drivers all racing with Lucas, fighting for 4 spots for the entire season. I mean, like it or hate it, they've got the star power, and it's gonna be
we
wild.
didn't even mention Brandon Shepard, and I
No?
mean he's been
Well, you had mentioned Outlaws. I'm like, he's sitting second in Outlaw points. Maybe it's not
yeah.
so set in stone,
He might
man.
be better off going to Outlaws at this rate.
Yeah. Well, like kind of to
he
your point, Outlaws feels like Bobby and the gang. I don't mean
Bobby and
any offense
friends.
to any of the other guys. Yeah, Bobby and friends. That's what it feels like. And so, uh, maybe they have a reason. Maybe Shepard has a reason to go, and then that throws the rookie of the year thing wide open, right? Because Dan goes with the house team. He's run all their races.
Well, if
Well,
McIntosh, because McIntosh is supposed to be following Lucas, so Ebert has competition now. But if he
Yeah.
leaves, then we got the same situation. It's just McIntosh gets a free rookie of the year.
Well, Hilsebeck, I think ran
Yeah,
okay-ish,
I
made a
could see
feature or
see
two.
him
Yeah, yeah.
maybe going to Lucas.
I feel like Hilsebeck going to Lucas might make a little bit more sense. I don't know, just from competition standpoint.
Mhm.
I don't. I mean, he's also seems to be running better with Lucas. I mean, he's been to all the Lucas races so far.
Mhm.
I don't. I haven't checked if he's checked in at Ocala today for practice, but
I would have to assume so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can have a quick on-share look while we chat about it. But interesting you bring up Ocala because we were just ranting and raving last week about how good the racing was with the mods. And now we're ranting and raving about how good Lucas Oil was at All-Tech. I'm a little pumped to see what we're going to get out of these guys at Ocala. Like it feels like all of that is going to make for some fireworks.
Hilsebeck is at Ocala, by the way.
Right on, right on. Our producer's always on it with the fat checks. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
am looking forward to Ocala because I don't know, it's just a weird track. It's not as weird as East Bay. At least, I mean, shape, it's definitely weirder than East Bay, but I feel like East Bay always raced weird. Like, that's what the driver said. But yeah, Ocala's just shaped so weird. And I feel like
Mhm.
some guys are really good there and then other ones are like really bad there, it seems like.
yeah, it. I mean, and they took away the like it
The
had
show.
like the shelf on top, so I think maybe that has something to do with it. I mean, the mods were fantastic there. I mean,
Hmm.
I didn't have as many as they probably wanted, but I mean, I thought the racing was pretty fantastic. So
Yeah.
um, I don't see why not. And then I mean, Ocala just has Ocala and Alltech have all the big bangers coming through. You have Lucas, you have USAC going there, obviously, and then Short Track Super Series is going to Alltech
Yeah.
end of this week, so that should be pretty awesome. And I know Chris Moore, who no longer is with the Short Track Super Series, I guess, but he said Alltech is maybe the best track in the country, and it stirred up some controversy on Twitter, so that was funny.
Right
But I
on.
guess
Right on.
he said that after Thursday, I think, and I think it kind of proved him right.
Yeah, they went on to prove that point. Yeah. And another interesting point is for Lucas, Speed Weeks is over after this Ocala show. So like Saturday feels like must-watch TV. I don't know. Just given all the things we've been talking about, like they're gonna go home for a month, probably two, because those shows in March at Brownstown and Atomic seem to always rain out.
Yeah,
So
those are
they might,
most likely rainouts.
yeah, yeah. So it's probably, I mean, so you can hurt some feelings on Saturday, and rest assured, by 2 months, hopefully cooler heads will
Yeah,
prevail. So
yeah, this will might be our last Lucas race till April, so way.
yeah, yeah. So all that excitement just to hurry up and wait, I guess.
And I
But
feel like we've had some good Ocala races. I can't remember I think there was one with Moran a couple years ago, but there's been some good Lucas Ocala races. Now, curious how it'll be for what, 5 straight days or something? It's Tuesday to Saturday, right? I
yeah,
think they
Tuesday
were,
to
yeah,
Saturday. I think they're doing that same thing they used to do with East Bay, where they have the two non-points
yeah, some
days.
guys don't have to race or whatever.
Yep,
I think
yep,
Davenport said he's gonna run, because he said usually he didn't at East Bay, but he said he's gonna run all of it at Ocala, so
yep, yeah,
Yeah, he's having so much fun or something. He's just gonna run the whole thing.
yeah.
yeah. Why the heck not? So yeah, I think that that will be probably. No offense to
Oh,
All-Tech in the Short Track Super Series, but I think I'm going to be watching
also at Ocala, speaking of Saturday being must watch, 32's showing up on Saturday. So
Oh, that's
that
right.
adds to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, and that's been that was one thing I felt like was kind of a little bit missing with all of that is I know that's Lucas's product of the Lucas's guy. Heck yeah, but you see all that and you can't help but go, we're missing one guy.
Yeah.
We're just missing one, just one. And so, and yeah, it sounds like it's just Saturday, but he'll be there Saturday. So,
Yep.
yeah. But anyway, with that, they're awarding big gators on Saturday as well, for Volusia. So we had a little appetizer this past weekend. They were handing out some mini gators. Um, Julian, you had mentioned a particular wrap caught your eye when we saw UMP Mods at Ocala. And turns out that it's more than a pretty wrap. But anyway, we're talking about Cole Falloway.
Yeah,
Break him down for us.
I mentioned Cole Falloway at Ocala, and I was like, I honestly didn't know much about him, and so I was kind of curious. And then he ran really well at Volusia, so well that he won 2 of the 3 races, and then the first one he finished 4th, and he'd never been there, he'd never seen Volusia before. So obviously his wrap is pretty fast. And then as we're recording this on Monday and we have the racing going on in the background, I think he just finished 2nd or 3rd in
Third.
his
I think it was third.
little
He
prelim
was
feature.
right there for the lead. But yeah, he's
Yep.
off to a good start for the second week at Volusia, I guess you could call it.
Big
Yeah.
Gator Week.
Yes, that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we also got some more spice between Kyle Strickler and Trevor Neville. That was kind of fun too. Those guys went at it a couple times and had some words for each other, put each other in the fence a couple times.
Yeah, that was on Saturday, right?
Yeah,
It was the big the culmination was on Saturday. Yeah. But I do want to circle back to Cole Falloway because obviously he won two of the features, and Saturday was sort of the big feature for that week. But Carter, Julian mentions his rap. Turns out you've seen him win a race or two.
Yeah, I saw him. So the first time I saw him win was the first ever Illinois Speed Week, which is more the late model thing. But they have mods obviously as a support class, and he won at Farmer City, which I don't remember anything about that race, but he did win it. The only thing I know is that Nick Hoffman left to go to Lawrenceburg for 10 grand, and Nick Hoffman won 3 out of the 4 that week, and the one that he left is when Cole Falloway won. But then he also won this past year at Fairbury, which I was at, and that was one of the best races I saw all year. It was Michael Long, Falloway, and I can't remember the third guy, maybe McKinney, but they were like 3 wide. Michael Long was right there and hit the wall, and then after that, it was all Falloways, and he won 5 grand that night. So, and then the next night, which I wasn't at, he won 5 grand at Spoon River. So he had a good week.
It's a good weekend. Yeah. Heck yeah. So, yeah, I think for Julian and I, we're a little like, dang, we didn't know he was that good. That was a slick rap, and it's kind of grown into more. So that uh, kind of neat watching him sort of develop here in Speed Weeks for us. He's new on the scene to us, and so I guess that's what Speed Weeks is all about. So I did want to highlight him a little bit. Um, Interestingly enough, you had mentioned McKinney and Michael Long. I think those two are showing up for Big Gator Week. So that's, I think, 2 of the bigger names to join kind of all the other guys we saw this past weekend. So, what do we get? What did we get today? 102
Yep,
total checked
102.
in. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
11 short of 2024, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, about the same amount.
About the same. That's a boatload of modifieds. And it turns out that they're even doing the sprint car fans a favor, and they're qualifying them all before the sprint cars start racing on Wednesday. So there's just going to be qualifying features when Woo is there.
I was like preemptively hiding in my couch last weekend when they were doing the qualifying before the ASCS features. Because I'm like, if I look on Twitter, somebody's going to be complaining about this.
Yeah. So they've solved for that. They're just gonna, I think they did 2 on Monday, 2 on, then they'll do 2 more sets of qualifying on Tuesday, and then the features will be set for the whole week. And then Friday, I think, is that's when they start qualifying for the big Gator feature. And so I think on Friday they'll stack them up by points and do some qualifiers. And I think top 2 or 3 transfer out of those, and then Saturday is LCQs, and then the big Gator feature. So,
Here's something
then
we
I think
didn't talk about with the mods and it's kind of going into the big gator week is somebody that didn't perform well last week was Lucas Lee. He was
Yeah.
I don't think he made Saturday. I think he was way towards the back the first 2 nights maybe. But he qualified well before we recorded this. Well, they did 2 qualifying sessions. I think he qualified well in both. Can't really remember, but I'm wondering if he was just testing some setups or something. Because I'm assuming he wants the big gator. He did run Ocala.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what Lucas Lee can do.
Yeah, he was suspiciously quiet this past weekend. Like, I don't know. I expect to see him up towards the front more than I did. So that did catch me a little bit for a loop. I think, Julian, didn't you predict Dustin Sorensen was going to win on Friday? um, and so hard jinxed him, but he's made all the features. He finished okay. That's one thing I'm keeping an eye on. It's interesting. He's doing the whole USRA Longhorn deal. I have no clue what kind of car he has down there. It just looks funny without all of the decking around the engine. I'm used to that with the USRA cars, and they're just open motors on these UMP ones. But anyway, I digress. It looks funny, but he's one that I'm curious to see if he turns it around this week or if he just continues to run kind of the same.
By the end
But
of the World of All late models come into Volusia, he'll have a lifetimes of experience in about a month.
yeah.
He's been there. He's been there since the first, the Sunshine Nationals, I think he was down. Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously. He's
yeah.
been there forever, hasn't left.
And there forever. He's been in that mod too all year. Like he was at Votto and then came. I mean, so he's just been racing 2 classes. It's like nonstop.
I do wonder, like, I'm curious because we talked about, even before the podcast, we were all sitting here chatting about the differences between UMP mods and like USRA mods. And obviously, Sorensen does not have the big sail panels, spoiler, and everything like he ran at Votto.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this like a different car? Is he running it for someone? Because I don't think I've ever seen him run a UMP modified elsewhere.
I mean,
Is he just
all questions that probably are contained on Facebook. He's looked for. So
well,
honestly, I
Dustin
don't know, but it's a
Sorensen, if
great
you're watching this,
question.
please tell us.
Yeah, like it's a great question. Did he just because he was already headed that way and already had a modified in the car? Did he just pull the spoiler off and buy some Hoosier tires and whatever? Because the motor's big, right? It's a USRA motor. It's not like it's a little tiny the crate motor or anything. I'm sure it's a big bad motor. So yeah, I assume with enough finessing, he could make it work, and it already had it in the trailer. So
Well, that's what we were talking to about Gene Nicholas, who actually won the first features recording this tonight, and it looked like he had a modified USRA car. Gene
yeah,
Nicholas from Arkansas, so it looks like it kind of looked his sail panels were blank,
yeah.
so they look different.
I remember way a few years back when I was watching Chase Holland and he was kind of getting started in the USRA stuff and the UMP stuff. And eh, there's definitely changes. I remember him having to switch the car back and forth over. He was running one car and then every time he'd have to switch it this way and then switch it that way. And so I assume you can do it with enough mods, but I don't know what they are. Again, as we've said almost every episode, we're not technical folks. If you want us to put the tire on, we got you. Beyond that, man, we're probably outside of our leagues.
But we like to learn, so if you actually know something, leave
Facts,
a comment or
facts.
send us a
Yeah,
message, and we'll be happy to talk about it.
yeah.
But since
Learn
we
us
have
up.
all this, like, since Dustin Sorensen is the most experienced guy at Volusia, apparently, is he gonna win the Big Gator on Saturday or the race on Saturday? Because there's like 3 different things up for grabs on
Yeah, there's
Saturday.
Saturday's the big race. That's like
yeah,
the one you want to win. So
yeah. I think they give out 2 gators for that on that day. They give one for the winner of Saturday's race, and then I think they also give one out for the week-long
yep.
point winner. So, like, if we can throw out UMP, Florida Speed Weeks, and Dirt Car National points or whatever other things they're counting for points. If let's do some predictions. Actually, I like where you're going with this, Julian. Let's do one for the race Saturday, and then one for the week's long points winner. I'm not picking Sorensen. So to your original question, no, that's you guys can probably guess.
Alex Williamson.
Josh's
But-
best friend, Kyle Strickler.
Yeah. But I would actually I don't want to bogart that one because I think he's in play, but who wants to go first? Carter, you want to go first? I think it's fair
Yeah,
that Carter
I
goes
can
first.
start. For the points, I'll go with Strickler, but for the race itself, I'll go with Trevor Neville, who has looked fast there. I didn't see much of this past week because I was just busy. So I don't know how he did this past week. Apparently, him and Strickler were slamming into each other. That's about all I know. But I know at the Rudiman, what, in like November, he was right towards the front. Did he win it? Who won? Was he the winner of that?
No, that Strickler won the Rudiment.
Yeah, but I know Neville was right up there with him if I remember right. So and I think he just won tonight, didn't he? Did he win? Yeah. So
Yeah. You got a
granted,
big lead.
Strickler wasn't in that race, so who knows? But I think Strickler will win the points and Neville will win the race.
Minor
All right.
detail. for me.
Yeah. All right. And then Julian, I'll let you go.
Well, I'm gonna go Falloway for the points. Winning the race. I was gonna pick Trevor Neville actually, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. If he runs well and he wins this, we're gonna claim him for USMTS, and I'm gonna go Will Krupp winning the race.
Man, I had Will in the back pocket. I was maybe gonna pull him out because I think I've lost Strickler to both. Right? Is that if I'm remembering correctly? One's got him for the
Yep.
race, and
I got him for the
one's got
points.
him.
I didn't.
No, you
take
didn't.
Strickler.
No, you
I
took
Oh
Will
no,
Krupp.
you still have Strickler for the
Alright.
race.
All right, so I will actually not take him. I think for the race, I'm gonna go Michael Long. I think on Saturday, Michael Long's gonna get it done. I don't know why, just other than he's the UMP national champion and the Mars national champion, and um, I don't know. I think he's just gonna come down and get it done. I think he has a new car too, doesn't he? Is he the one with the
Yeah,
BP32
yeah,
modified?
that's
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So that too. So I guess he's running a Pierce modified chassis as well. So well, let's go with that. That's why we'll take him for that. And then for the points, um, I'll take Will Krupp. I was gonna. I don't even know how he qualified today. I have no idea. I just thought it was neat seeing Will Krupp run well. Actually, no lies. I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go Kurt Spalding.
I was gonna say nobody took him, and he's actually the one leading it. I think.
I'm gonna go Kurt Spalding for the week long points. That's what I'm gonna do.
And Will
So
Krupp did set last group, and he set quick time, and I think Group B for the first set of qualifying or something.
Okay.
So over David Strenney or over Neville actually.
yeah. That was probably the biggest thing I noticed this past weekend is it was like the same five guys all 3 days almost. It was Falloway, Strickler, Spalding, Stremme, and Krupp. I think Thursday Krupp wasn't up there, but the other 2 days he was, and the other four were. So I think you could pull any five of those guys and feel comfortable that they're going to perform pretty well this week. So, but anyway, I think with that, that's a good way to probably wrap up Volusia. Julian, you had told us about is it 37 Texas Showdown, I-37 Texas Showdown. So I'll let you deliver the news of the winner since you're the one who've been keeping us honest on this one for about a month and a half.
Yeah. So I-37, obviously supposed to happen like 12
During the
months ago,
dome.
not literally.
Yeah, they're in the dome.
But they actually ended up with way more cars than I thought, especially being a reschedule. They ended up with 49 mods. And a guy that won it was actually at the dome, so he wouldn't have actually been there. And Jordan Grabowski.
Oh, yeah. Worked out good for him then.
Yeah, so he just got 10 grand, and he wasn't even going to be there.
He went ahead and planned on it.
And then it was mostly Texas drivers, but the out-of-state drivers actually kind of ended up dominating the top part of the field there because you had Isaac Malicote, Trevor Fitz, who's like California,
He
Iowa,
ran in the Midwest like all summer, I'm pretty sure. Because I
Yeah.
feel like every time I turned on Marshalltown, he was having a terrible time. not like because of his own fault, but just getting caught up
Well,
in everything.
Well, he was the West
let's
Usually,
say
Coast
that.
only guy in California up until last year, and then he picked up a win
Oh,
at Boone, and he won. What was
five
it?
thousand at Davenport, he won.
Davenport.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
will
then
say this though, I didn't know much about him. The one thing I saw of this whole race is I watched the free preview and I saw Trevor Fitz bust the left front on a Uke
Yep,
tire in his heat race and proceed to outrun, like drive by three guys. He's just very fortunate they didn't go yellow because I think that would have been the end. But they didn't, and he won the thing, and I thought that was pretty cool. So he made a fan.
yeah, and somebody that didn't show up that we was supposed to was Kate Dillard. I don't have any insight into what happened. I didn't hear anything about it. But Stephen Whitaker in that car ended up finishing 7th +6. So I mean, it wasn't too bad, I guess.
Cade Dillard was scared of the IMCA guys. That's what happened.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hearing.
those
So
Brand X race cars. Yeah,
We'll claim Cody Thompson for USMTS since he got a 4th place finish.
you can't
yeah,
claim
fair
him.
enough. He ran for like half a year 2 years ago.
Counts.
Counts. Count it. But anyway, the other races going on this past weekend and wrapping up for us, we've been covering it for a few weeks now, is the Ernie Mincy Early Thaw. Um, I'll just run through the sort of the results real quick, and you guys can throw out anything that catches your eye either mid-sentence or at the end. But for mods, Colin Hibden won the sort of 2 week long points. He also won the walk off on Saturday in the mods, and then Troy Morris Jr. won the other 2 nights. So it was kind of the Troy
Well,
Morris Jr. and
I actually did this for the Dirt Info dish that I wrote for this morning, and it was they both finished first and second on all 3 nights this week.
nice.
So it
Yeah,
was the Hibden and Morris show for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the Dylan Thornton show in late models, he won the last two and then won the week long points as well.
IMCA guy
Um,
beating up on the Westota late models.
Yep, in an open in an open in an open lane
No,
model
he's
is
got a
beating
restrictor
up
thing
on
on
the
it.
Minnesota
He's got a restrictor. I saw he had a post saying that it's like a Westota late model, like motor or whatever. So
guy. How the tables have turned, huh? He went from the crate. Sometimes you're the crates, sometimes you're not. Anyway, I digress. I think the other big headline for Julian is Rob Mosley showed up. Mr. Rob Mosley, the show, showed up and proceeded to win. He won Saturday's feature.
That was kind of out of nowhere. I didn't expect to see. I think Josh Kane was actually at I-37
He was. So I
in a
don't know if he just dropped Mr. Rob off on the
modified and
way
like
or what.
stock car, and then so I mean like the
I got
crew split up.
yeah. They
But
got
yeah,
pulled.
Mr. I think he finished well on, was it Friday? And
I
then
couldn't find the results. I have no clue.
he won on Saturday, I believe. Just double checking. Yeah, he won. He
Yeah, he
actually
won. He
beat
won
Jake.
Saturday.
He beat Jake Smith, Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
In the
Well, Jake Smith got the last laugh. He won the series points. So there's that. Yeah.
oh,
That's because Rob was over there for
Yeah, I
one
was gonna
day.
say.
Anyway, uh,
And the
um,
funny thing is, I mean, we have our own little Mr. Rob emoji in the Discord, so
we do.
we
We do.
love Mr.
Thanks.
Rob.
Thanks to you. Um, And then wrapping up the last couple classes, Mike Albertson took home the stock car championship. A little bit of a surprise over Shelby Williams, who's become a podcast favorite. Shelby Williams did win Saturday again, so he's up to I think 6 total wins on the season. The Shelby counter keeps going up.
On the new
Um,
chassis.
on the new chassis, the home built.
Yes.
Dexton Cook won 2 out of 3 in the Tarantula. James Trantino won the other one in Super Stocks, and then Cook was the series champion there. And then Ryan Peary took home your Sports Mod Championship. So, um,
And we have to touch on super stocks real quick. Obviously, Dexton Cook won a little bit of super stock news that dropped today. The super stock series is going up to Thunder Bay, their first trip to Canada.
International
Drop
series, they said. They're now an
yeah,
international series.
they're now an international series. How about that?
We're gonna have to
So,
go. road trip.
That's a bit of a haul, don't you think?
It's probably
We've
worth it though.
driven further for less.
They
We've
have the
all
they have,
driven
like,
further
national
for less.
champions that run there weekly.
Yeah.
That is like
I
the
don't know.
boon.
We should do that as as a show. I don't know. Something to think about. We should put that in the hopper.
Except they run
Maybe
on a
I would go.
On a
They have the
Wednesday,
best
so
V mod field in the country. They have super stocks. They have like Cole Chernosky, the mods up there, and they have like 500 modifieds on a weekly basis.
And they have they have a big, huge invitational show up there we could go up to. Anyway, we were getting far afield.
It's worth it though. It's not super stock.
It is worth
It's
it.
always worth
It is worth it. But anyway, I think with that, it means it's what time for Carter.
the one for the road, as Julian points the wrong way for me.
You're up there. What are you
For
talking
me,
about?
Josh is pointing the right way. Yes,
It's
my
the
one for the
mirror
road,
effect.
which I think I got this earlier this week. I ordered it during the Chili Bowl because I saw his car and I enjoyed it. Jacob Denny with his Chili Bowl wrap. It was my favorite car from the Chili Bowl, and if you have a cool car, I'll probably buy a shirt. Um, I don't even care if you're a good, not saying Jacob Denny's a bad driver, but you could be a terrible driver. If your car looks cool, I will probably get a shirt. So that is my
We're getting a shirt this year.
Cole Falloway's wrap isn't bad, but it's not ranked as high as you rank it. So
It's the wrap of the year for me. But I did like Jacob Denny's car, the tan. That looked pretty good.
yeah, I am a
Yeah.
big fan of it. Also, is that like old
Yeah.
Toyota colors? That like orange and red? Is that what that is? Like where is it? Is that what it's that orange? Isn't that like retro Toyota stuff? Isn't that what that means? That orange
Probably.
and I think
Sure.
that's
Let's
You're
I
go
think
gonna
it's
have
with
like
to
a
research
throwback thing.
stuff.
Yeah, I have to
yeah.
do
Toyota
my
does
Toyota
that.
research.
Your Kevin Thomas Jr. retro hoodie.
Yeah,
And you have
Yeah.
the tan one. I have the black one, and you have the tan one.
and it's similar colors to that.
Yeah.
No, I just want to note it's another non-black piece of clothing. So you really are transitioning
Devin
to
Moran changed me. I got one of his shirts in like sand color it was called, and ever since then I've gotten three tannish shirts since then. That Kevin Thomas one, Jacob Denny, and Sheldon Hautenshield. So
yeah.
They
Well,
don't
I actually because of you too, I actually designed a tan shirt for Dirt Draft. So that USAC shirt from last year, I designed that, and that was based on some feedback from y'all. So it's very similar to the one you have there, by the way.
it does that
I'm proud
shirt
of that
does
one.
look good. So I mean,
yeah,
if you're not signed
I,
up for Dirt Draft, you can sign up and get that shirt.
Yeah, for real. Uh, but anyway, Julian, do you want to go next or should I?
I'll go. I have it pulled up.
Uh,
I'm ready to talk. This one's very weird. This is another one that popped up just before the podcast. So the ASCS has the Elite Non-Wing series that runs primarily in Texas and up in Oklahoma a little bit. Doing something a little different this year because I was scrolling through the schedule and I was like, okay, same tracks. Houston Motorsports Park in July, that's asphalt. And I was curious about that too. And I went to the comments and a driver was like, asphalt? And they said, yeah, asphalt. So I was, so that's interesting. I don't know how many cars they're going to get. That's the last remaining asphalt track. It's not, the big NASCAR track in Texas. There used to be a bunch in Texas and Oklahoma. So that's going to be really interesting.
is it a points race or is it like a?
like
Oh yeah,
It's on the schedule.
huh?
It's on July 5th and there's a TBA on July 4th. So are they going to run a
they're
dirt
gonna run
race?
Texas
Go
Motor
run
Speedway
asphalt?
or Circuit of the Americas. Maybe that's what we'll go day before.
Hey, they road race big block modifieds once in New Jersey. So hey, and
Uh,
I have actually seen a sprint car drag race. All you got to do is take the staggered tires out of it. It's not like a
Do they have
super
to?
what
Do they have
modified
to
or
they
anything.
push them
took the
off?
stinger out of it? That would have been bad.
How
Yeah,
do
did
you?
they push him off?
Half the race is just how fast your
Running
four wheeler goes.
start for a drag race. You got a time to push to the tree.
Yeah, they had a start. Hey, but that's how they do. You ever seen a drag boat race? They
No,
literally start with a rolling start because they have to hold on to a rope so they don't float away.
Makes sense. Uh, anyway, well, we'll hear more about that around Independence Day. It sounds like they're gonna give that a go. Honestly, what do you got to lose, right?
Well,
Eh,
Southern All Stars did that at Anderson, and they're doing pretty
Yeah,
good with the dirt late models. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you think it's gonna, we're talking about it, so it wasn't the worst idea in the world.
yeah, apparently it was a good idea. They got some PR for it.
So, uh, anyway, I think, well, obviously I'll end it. But I'm gonna mention, USMTS dropped their schedule finally this past weekend. Um, and it looked like a kind of a fairly normal schedule, although I did note it was a little light. So I went in and dug around, and it does look to be about a third lighter. I think they usually do somewhere between 60, 65 dates. Looks like we got more around like 44 to 47. So, I thought that was interesting. And then you add in sort of a storyline that I've been talking about throughout this podcast is that we've got these satellite USRA series. So between the Northern Lights up here in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area, and then you've got the Heartland and sort of the Missouri, Kansas area, and then you've got the ARM series sort of more in the Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana area. Um, and most of those have announced some healthy portion of their schedule or all of their schedule. And so, being the nerd I was, I kind of compiled it. And I will honestly say they did a fairly good job of not scheduling over each other. I think in years past, there's been some conflict. There's a few little conflicts here and there. But for the most part, they've managed to avoid each other a lot better than last year. And I think that goes to the bigger point where I feel like USRA and these modified series are really investing in like this idea of an ecosystem. They want to build up everybody. They want to give everybody an opportunity to race in an economical way, against better competition than you might find at a local track. And I think everything they're doing is bearing that out. And so I just thought it was worth a mention. I could be off here in left field. I have no inside information on this at all. I'm just reading tea leaves, but that's what I see. And it looks kind of cool. It looks like a different way of going about it because we're seeing a lot of other folks, I think, trending more to the one-off big event. And that's cool, neat, and awesome for this year and maybe even next year. But like at some point, if we're not building up racers with capabilities and equipment and talent and experience to go win these big checks, we're cutting off the pipeline somewhere. So I like the idea of the USRA investing in a pipeline to keep the Premier Series flush with talent. And USMTS can hang their hat on this. They've sent so many guys off to late models who have run really well. So it's not like you just that's the end of the line. There's another place to go, and they've proven that racing with them does lead to success. I mean, we talked about Hilsebeck earlier. He's run some USMTS, Gustin, Sorensen, yada yada yada. The names are long, but anyway, I just like it. I just think it's a more holistic approach and a better long term approach than just trying to get these big 100K shows here and there. No knock on those. I think those are just as important, but everything can't be a big event because then none of it's a big event.
Well, not everything. I mean, if you ran, imagine NASCAR schedule if it was just Daytona, Coke 600, Brickyard. I mean, you
Right.
need to have the other events too, because not everything could be the big one. And then just to quickly touch on, kind of like a feeder system almost, kind of the way the All Stars are, especially in their reincarnated era now. Where if you look at the All Star Circuit of Champions roster right now, it's really more unknown drivers. It's not your Tyler Courtneys, your Zeb Wise, Parker Price Millers, who are notable guys. These are guys that belong on a regional tour. They could build up. They can get
Mhm.
a taste of touring. It's not crazy schedule. Um, they could make a name for themselves. Running the All Star Circuit of Champions, and then they could boost up to the big leagues with the World of Outlaws or Highland it, right? Kind of like the IRA is the same way. So you have these little more regional tours, fast too, even though there's conflict there. But my point, uh, you have to have these
But
little feeder things. Then when you get a taste of it, then you go up one of the bigger ones.
yeah. I mean, without it, you just choke it off, and it just becomes this whole idea of like, well, the big show's the only one worth watching. It's like, no, it's not. Like the local show's worth watching, the regional show's worth watching. Like they're worth going out and spending money to buy a ticket and to watch and buy concessions and be there. And, for guys like us, tweet about and try to get more people, like, they're worth it too. I want, I am the most pomp and circumstance guy you might find, like, definitely on this podcast, and maybe like in a wide swath of dirt racing. Like, I want the four wides and the fireworks and the pretty girls and the whole, the introductions and the whole nine. I want every part of it. I do. I love the show, but I can't even do that every freaking time I go to the track. Like, it's got to be reserved for the biggest and the baddest occasions. But there can be a ton of other moments that are super cool, but they're just not the biggest and baddest ones. And those are also worth going and supporting and worth everything. So
4 wides for big shows only. Fight me.
Oh, I mean, I don't need fireworks for every show, but if you want to have your walk-off feature, I guess for me it would be Hornets go forward wide before on a pace lap before you run it. I'm here for it.
My point with that is, though, it's like I feel like like what you say, and it's kind of lost its luster a little bit with it's supposed to be, this is a big thing, but then everybody does 4. I've seen 4 wides for weekly shows in some places, and I'm just like, it's like it makes it less special to me. And when you have, like, I think that's why the Indy 500 is so special with the long drawn out, driver intros and things like that. It's like you're really watching something. Like, this is special, and that's why you have these big one-off events. But they can't be the whole thing, because if they're just that, then they're meaningless. So
Right.
have them, but just in moderation, I guess.
Right. Have them, and then have the other cool things in between that get us really excited for that next big badass thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's value in having the whole ecosystem healthy, not just the tippity top and everyone else, Hopefully hopefully you can afford to have this huge rig for $300,000 shows a year, and you're not going to use it otherwise. Otherwise, you're not racing. So anyway, I digress. I've said enough. We've all said enough.
I
But
want to add one thing on the 4 wide. Stop doing 4 wides on a prelim night to a big feature too. Like Knoxville Nationals, like, keep the 4 wide for the big feature. That is
fair. That's
that is the
one
worst.
where I will agree with you. Like, if we're building up to something, then that four wide should be
Exactly.
just part of the something, right? Absolutely. I agree with that. But anyway, I think with that, we'll dip out for this week. We appreciate everybody for watching or listening, and sharing stuff. And yeah, thank you for all of the support. We really do appreciate it. Comments, likes, shares, the whole nine. We eat it up. We talk about it. We do our best to get back to y'all in a reasonably fast time frame. And yeah, we just really appreciate it all. So thank everybody for their time. And we'll catch you next week.